I can't really think of anything. Oh my god, my microphone volume is so high. What the f- Is this better? This is better, right? Yeah, let's go with this. Who doesn't love a good spin-off? When a video game franchise has been doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and a group seems to have an interesting idea, then, like, why the hell not release it as a separate title outside of the mainline series? That's what franchises like Forza did when they made the Forza Horizon series, and now the Horizon series is much more popular and much more well-beloved than the actual main series. However, when you make a spin-off, you have to make it very clear that the spin-off relates to the franchise, because if it's something that's so different that it doesn't even feel like the original games, then they'd probably be better getting sold as literally any other IP. And my favorite example of this, between both 2012 and 2013, were two different spin-offs. One of them for the Dirt series, developed by Codemasters, and another one for the WRC video game series, which at the time was being developed by Milestone. And this is already pretty weird, considering that rally games almost never get spin-offs. They're just not the kind of games that you apply that to. But that didn't stop these two from trying. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about Dirt Showdown, because I feel like that sort of explains itself, as it's a really interesting game, but it's just not a Dirt game. If anything, it feels like a MotorStorm game if you got a spray can of Dirt 3 and applied it over with way too much overspray. So that meant that Dirt Showdown worked as a game, but it didn't work as a Dirt game. And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because WRC's spin-off, WRC Powerslide, completely dodged this potential pitfall, while still feeling unique as a spin-off. Let me explain why. WRC Powerslide is a very simple game. 4 cars, all within 3 different categories that can be chosen before the race starts, are all put on a point-to-point stage and have to beat each other to the end, with controls in a similar vein to Micro Machines. Along the way, they can run into item boxes which will shift depending on their positions, and that's it. It's a very simple idea for a game. And yet, despite how little there seems to be on the surface, this game fucking rocks! So, okay, the things I like about this game. Firstly, is that the way the game was made was genius, because all of the tracks you see here aren't original, but instead, they all came from Milestone's last proper WRC title, which was WRC 4, as all of the stages are taken from that game, but scaled down. And you may see this as sort of recycling content, but the fact that these roads were made for, like, proper WRC gameplay makes them truly chaotic when put in a Micro Machines fashion. And yes, while sometimes they can be a bit glitchy, okay, very glitchy, if you ask me, because this game tries to be really chaotic, that absolutely adds to the charm of it. Secondly, the game actually uses items in a very skill-based manner, which I know is something really odd to say, but if you look at the top left of the screen, you'll be able to see that every driver's item are revealed. So, let's say you're leading and you get a shield. Do you try and remove that when going up to another item to potentially get a boost to bring yourself further ahead? Or do you decide to not get an item and see if anyone behind you either gets a hailstorm or a thundercloud, which can potentially slow you down if you don't shield it? On top of this, you do also still have to worry about the road, which, again, are proper rally driving roads despite how cartoonish the physics can feel. Getting good at this game is a balancing act between focusing on the road and focusing on the items. Hell, even the AI are strategic, because even though the times that they release the items can be somewhat random, if someone's at the back of the pack and they get the snowstorm, which hits everyone and kind of works a bit like a lightning, then they are going to use it unreactably fast. So, if you have a shield at the front, it may be worth it if someone has a lightning who hasn't used it to wait just a few moments to see if the back is going to get an item. And then if they get it and it's an unreactably fast hailstorm, then congratulations, you just killed 2 birds with 1 stone and you can drive even further. Little things like these really make the game feel strategic. And this goes without saying, but it also makes it an absolute romp when you're playing the game in multiplayer. Just this massive mosh pit of different people trying to barge their way into the lead, while also throwing out items while thinking about what items are potentially going to come depending on the positions, because there's only 6 items, but the limited pool of items makes you think about each individual one a lot more. And because there aren't any automatic win buttons, you still have to perform while you're using them. It's the perfect game for multiplayer, and honestly, because of how insane the premise is, and the fact that it still works as a rally game while being really fun, I'm actually going to give this a really high score. I'm going to give it an 8 out of... Wait, what? Why does that say 6? There's something I'm missing, right? Oh, no. No! 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 Yep, this game doesn't have local multiplayer. It only has online multiplayer, which doesn't exist anymore. This is one of my biggest gripes with modern games, because if you don't have local multiplayer of any form, then you are essentially dooming the game to being single player years into the future. Hell, and I can name so many games that do this. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, any of the Forza Horizon games. So many games do this, and they don't foresee the future where someone brings down their buddy and goes, hey, do you want to play this? And then they go, oh yeah, it'll be great. Hang on, let me start up the multiplayer. Oh, there's no multiplayer. Fuck me. WRC Powerslide is the perfect example for a game that's hindered by this, because this is obviously a game that leans upon being a really good game to play with friends. But not only is it literally impossible to play with friends, but outside of online, the modes include playing the game, so, yeah, I'm gonna have to deduct this game's points to a 6 out of 10. Just because of how quickly you can beat the game, and how there's pretty much no replay value for it because it doesn't have multiplayer. We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close! This close!